How did Japan turn a simple frigate into a serious threat for China's navy? By refusing to fight the war China prepared for. Instead of building larger destroyers to match Beijing ship for ship, Japan focused on one decisive advantage: missile reach. 8. Type 17 anti-ship missiles, each capable of striking targets more than 250 miles away, launched from a frigate that costs roughly one-third as much as a modern destroyer. That ship is the Mogami class. China currently operates more than 40 Type 054A frigates across the waters around Taiwan, the Senkaku Islands, and the South China Sea. Each displaces about 4,000 tons, carries 32 vertical launch cells, and costs hundreds of millions of dollars. These vessels form the backbone of Beijing's near-seas strategy, designed to overwhelm smaller navies through constant presence and numerical advantage. Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force recognized the problem early. China could build frigates faster than Japan could ever respond with traditional destroyers. A single destroyer takes years to complete and costs well over $1.5 billion. By the time Japan could field a handful, China would already have deployed dozens more hulls into contested waters. So Japan changed the equation. Rather than matching size and firepower head-on, it built a frigate optimized for the fight that matters most in the Indo-Pacific: the anti-surface engagement, long-range detection, first strike capability, and the ability to threaten larger ships before they can close distance or bring their own weapons to bear. The Mogami class is not designed to dominate through brute force. It is designed to deny control. Armed with 8 long-range anti-ship missiles, a single Mogami can force larger vessels to operate defensively, spread formations, or withdraw entirely. In narrow seas and island chains, that reach matters more than tonnage or missile count. But missile range is only part of the story. The Mogami breaks another long-standing rule of naval warfare. That combat endurance requires massive crews. Traditional frigates and destroyers carry 200 to 300 sailors to sustain operations, handle damage control, and fight through extended engagements. The Mogami operates with just 90 crew members, and in high-intensity scenarios, potentially as few as 60. This is not cost-cutting, it is strategy. Japan faces a shrinking population and a limited pool of naval personnel. Building a fleet that depends on large crews is no longer sustainable. Automation is not a luxury, it is a requirement. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries solved this through extreme systems integration. Propulsion, navigation, sensors, and weapons are managed from a single integrated combat information space. The bridge and combat center function as one. Machine-assisted diagnostics monitor the gas turbine engine. Damage control is automated. The ship is designed to operate efficiently with minimal human intervention. The result is a frigate that is cheaper to build, faster to deploy, and easier to crew. Yet it carries weapons capable of threatening far larger and more expensive ships. This is why China is paying attention. The Mogami is not trying to overpower Chinese destroyers. It is trying to make them vulnerable, to force caution, to impose cost, and to turn Japan's geographic position into a decisive advantage. And this shift does not just affect Japan. It signals a broader change in naval warfare, where precision, automation, and missile reach begin to outweigh size and numbers, where smaller ships can impose denial on larger fleets, and where cost efficiency becomes a weapon in its own right. But here is the controversial part. If the CIC takes a direct hit from a modern anti-ship missile, especially a hypersonic weapon, the crew is not expected to save the ship. They are expected to evacuate. That is a radical departure from Western naval doctrine, which emphasizes damage control and survivability at all costs. Japan's bet is different. Do not get hit in the first place. And if you do, make sure you have already launched your missiles. That philosophy shapes everything about the Mogami's design. At 130 meters long and displacing just 5,500 tons fully loaded, it is smaller and lighter than China's Type 054A. It carries fewer vertical launch cells, 16 versus 32. But what it lacks in missile capacity, it makes up for in range, speed of deployment, and cost. Japan is building 12 Mogami-class frigates at an estimated $450 million per hull. That is less than half the cost of a modern destroyer. For the price of 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, Japan can field nearly 7 Mogami frigates. And in a missile duel, 7 ships firing 56 anti-ship missiles will overwhelm 2 ships firing 180 because the 2 ships cannot be in 7 places at once. Here is where the Mogami becomes a nightmare. The frigate carries 8 Type 17 anti-ship missiles in 4 twin launchers. These subsonic sea-skimming weapons weigh 3/4 of a ton each and fly up to 250 miles, roughly the distance from Tokyo to Mount Fuji or from Los Angeles to San Diego. They use GPS and inertial navigation for the initial flight, then switch to an active electronically scanned array radar seeker for terminal guidance. That combination makes them difficult to jam and nearly impossible to spoof with chaff or decoys. The Type 17's 250-mile range changes the tactical geometry of naval combat in the East China Sea. A Mogami frigate positioned near the Senkaku Islands can strike surface targets approaching Taiwan's northern coast without ever entering the range of shorter-range Chinese anti-ship missiles. It forces enemy warships into a dilemma: close the distance and risk getting hit first, or stay back and cede control of contested waters. Either way, the Mogami dictates terms. But the real threat is not one frigate. It is 12, dispersed across the Ryukyu Island chain, each capable of launching 8 missiles on command. That is 96 anti-ship missiles that can converge on a single target area in a coordinated salvo. No surface action group, Chinese, Russian, or otherwise, can intercept that many missiles simultaneously. Some will get through, and when a 1,500-pound warhead traveling at near sonic speed slams into a destroyer superstructure, the result is catastrophic. Compare that to China's Type 054A frigate. Its primary anti-ship weapon is the YJ-83, with a range of roughly 120 miles. To engage a Mogami, the Type 054A has to sail 130 miles closer, well within the range of Japanese missiles, submarines, and land-based anti-ship batteries. The Chinese frigate also lacks the advanced towed array sonar systems found on the Mogami, making it more vulnerable to submarine ambush. In a straight fight, the Mogami shoots first, from farther away, with better targeting data. The Type 054A never closes the gap. The Mogami's full designation is FFM, Frigate, Fast, Multi-Role. That M stands for mines, and it represents a capability most modern frigates do not have: the ability to hunt and destroy sea mines in shallow, contested waters. Japan designed the Mogami with a stern ramp and internal mission bay that can launch and recover unmanned surface vehicles and unmanned underwater vehicles. These robotic systems do the dangerous work of mine detection and disposal, keeping the frigate out of the blast zone. The system works like this. The Mogami deploys an OZZ-5 unmanned underwater vehicle equipped with high-frequency and low-frequency synthetic aperture sonar developed by Thales and NEC. The UUV follows a pre-programmed route, scanning the seabed for buried mines, objects that traditional sonar often misses. Once the UUV completes its mission, the Mogami recovers it via the stern ramp and analyzes the sonar data on board. If mines are detected, the frigate deploys a separate unmanned surface vehicle carrying expendable mine disposal charges. The USV navigates to the mine's location and detonates it remotely. This capability matters because China has one of the world's largest inventories of naval mines, estimated in the tens of thousands. In the event of a conflict over Taiwan, Beijing's strategy would almost certainly include mining the approaches to Japanese ports and the straits, connecting the East China Sea to the Pacific. Traditional minesweepers are slow, expensive, and vulnerable. The Mogami can clear mines while simultaneously conducting anti-surface and anti-submarine operations. It is 3 ships in one hull, and unlike older minesweepers built from wood or fiberglass to avoid triggering magnetic mines, the Mogami uses a steel hull. That makes it cheaper to build and easier to repair. But it also means the ship itself could detonate a magnetic mine if it sailed too close. The unmanned systems solve that problem, allowing the Mogami to stay several kilometers away, while robots do the close-in work. Japan conducted its first live mine disposal drill using this method in June 2025 off Iwo Jima, proving the concept works in operational conditions. The Mogami's offensive firepower gets the headlines, but its sensors are what make the missiles effective. The frigate is equipped with Mitsubishi Electric's OPY-2X band active electronically scanned array radar, a multi-purpose system that tracks air and surface targets simultaneously while also guiding defensive missiles. Unlike older mechanically scanned radars that sweep back and forth, AESA radars can track hundreds of targets at once and update their positions in real time. That means the Mogami can engage multiple threats, aircraft, missiles, and surface ships, without prioritizing one over the other. The ship also carries the OAX-3 electro-optical and infrared sensor system, which provides high-resolution imaging for target identification and tracking. This is critical in scenarios where radar alone is not enough, such as distinguishing between a civilian cargo ship and a military transport, or tracking low-flying helicopters in heavy weather. The EO/IR system gives the Mogami's crew a visual confirmation before launching weapons, reducing the risk of friendly fire or civilian casualties. For anti-submarine warfare, the frigate fields the NEC OQQ-20 5 sonar system, a combination of variable depth sonar and towed array sonar that can detect submarines at extended ranges. Variable depth sonar drops below the thermocline, the layer of water where temperature changes disrupt sonar waves, allowing the Mogami to detect submarines hiding in the thermal shadow. The towed array extends behind the ship like a long tail, picking up low-frequency acoustic signatures from diesel-electric and nuclear submarines operating dozens of miles away. Together, these systems give the Mogami a detection envelope far larger than traditional hull-mounted sonar. All of these sensors feed into the OYQ-1 combat management system, which fuses data from radar, sonar, EO/IR, and networked sources, including other ships, aircraft, and satellites, into a single tactical picture. The CMS automatically prioritizes threats, assigns weapons, and calculates firing solutions. Human operators make the final decision, but the machine does the hard math. This level of sensor fusion and automation is typically found only on much larger, more expensive destroyers. The Mogami brings it to a frigate-sized platform. So can a lightly crewed automated frigate armed with 8 long-range anti-ship missiles defeat larger, more heavily armed warships? The answer is yes, if it fires first, from outside enemy range and coordinates with other platforms. The Mogami is not designed to slug it out in a close-range gun duel or absorb multiple missile hits. It is designed to launch a devastating opening salvo and then evade, relocate, or support other assets. In the missile-centric naval warfare of the 2020s, that is enough. Here is what you need to remember. First, range decides who shoots first, and the Mogami's 250-mile anti-ship missiles outranged nearly every surface combatant in the Chinese, Russian, and North Korean fleets. Second, automation allows Japan to field more hulls with fewer people, turning demographic weakness into strategic advantage. Third, multi-mission capability, anti-surface, anti-submarine, and mine warfare makes the Mogami adaptable to different threat scenarios without requiring specialized ships. The question now is not whether the Mogami can fight, it is whether China, Russia, and other regional navies can afford to ignore it. Japan is building 10 Mogami-class frigates, with the 10th launched in December 2024 and scheduled for commissioning in March 2026. Australia just ordered an upgraded version with enhanced sensors and 32 vertical launch cells instead of 16. Other nations are watching, and what happens next will determine whether the frigate, long considered a second-tier warship, becomes the dominant surface combatant of the Indo-Pacific theater. If you want more breakdowns of the weapons reshaping naval warfare, subscribe to Strategic Tech and hit the bell so you never miss an update.